So in the horizon, do you think, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but do you think there's a possibility of in the next, let's say, 10 years, of not only normalization of relations between Russia and the US, but back to an alliance between the two countries in the next 10 years? That's something already people are talking about.
The alliance means, at least historically, and this is deeply in our mentality, means that you are ally against somebody. Multipolarity, which Marco Rubio recognized, is different. How can you recognize multipolarity without recognizing such giant as China, such giant as India, Africa as a continent, and Latin America, Brazil, and quite a number of others? Multipolarity, in my view, would be evolving for quite some time. It's historic epoch, probably. And it would, that's my vision. It could be composed of superpowers by the size, by the economic weight, by the military might, especially nuclear, and certainly US, China, Russia fit into this category. Those who are not as big, they can participate in a multipolar world through their sub-regional structures. ASEAN, for example, GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, League of Arab States. And African Union, by the way, received the status of full member of G20 last year. League of Arab States wants the same. We are in favor. G20, by the way, is the format which is now proving to be not only financially and economically useful, but also politically. It might play a very positive role in the process of multipolarity. Yes, there are still remnants of animosity, but the rule of consensus is there. They don't vote. Therefore, they are more promising than the United Nations General Assembly, who every now and then, whenever somebody cannot get something from the Security Council, they go to the General Assembly and they stage a show with votes, with accusations, and so on and so forth. But not only Marco Rubio spoke about multipolarity. Donald Trump spoke about NATO, as I referred to his statements, repeated statements, that this was one of the reasons. And we insist that any approach, any attempt to approach the Ukrainian crisis, any initiative, and most of them are very vague, should concentrate on the root causes of the conflict. And Donald Trump confirmed that one of the root causes was NATO expansion, which created a threat to the Russian security. I, by the way, would like to emphasize in these new circumstances after the January 20, that the importance of Ukraine for the Russian security is many, many, many times bigger than the importance of Greenland for the US security.
That's for sure.
And the second issue, about root causes. I also referred to the extermination of the Russian language, media, culture, prohibition of opposition parties, prohibition of some opposition media, even published in Ukrainian language and operating in Ukrainian language, murder and disappearance of journalists, not to mention the military crimes, war crimes against the people in Donbass immediately after the coup when they called them terrorists. And all this grossly violates the UN Charter, which says everybody must respect human rights of every person, irrespective of race, gender, language, or religion. It's on top. It's Article 1 of the UN Charter. But I am mostly amazed with this peacekeepers obsession. Peacekeepers, let's stop. Macron says, let's stop in 1 month. Peacekeepers would be deployed. Then we'll see what to do next. It is not what we say is required for the end of this war, which the West waged against us through Ukrainians with their direct participation of their military. We know this. If NATO expansion is recognized, at least by Donald Trump, as one of the root causes, then the presence of the troops from NATO countries under any flag in any capacity on Ukrainian soil is the same threat.
You won't accept it under any conditions?
Under any conditions, well, nobody is talking to us. They keep saying nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, but they do everything about Russia without Russia. Planning. Trump, by the way, when asked about peacekeepers, he said, well, it's too early to discuss this, but normally you need the consent of the parties. Why should we give consent to the peacekeeping force or peacekeeping group even, not force, though they want force, right, from the composed of the countries who declared us an enemy, and they would come as peacekeepers. And the second thing is the rights and the fate of the people who live not only on the liberated territories, but on the territories under the control of the regime. They also, most of them, speak Russian. They were brought as part of the Russian culture. And they want their kids to know Russian and to learn Russian. My question was whether this law, or several pieces of law, prohibiting Russian language, whether this would be cancelled on the territory which would be left of Ukraine. There is no answer. Another question, whether you would still keep this monument to Bandera, who collaborated with Hitler and was accused, convicted by the Nuremberg Tribunal. So the rest of Ukraine would keep this monument and would keep prohibition of Russia, would stage the torch marches with insignia from SS divisions. Then, with all respect, this would be not a group, a force keeping peace. This would be a group keeping and protecting the Nazi regime.
Right.
And this is absolutely non-stat.